Hello, everyone. Redspartan here. So today I want to talk about Ankh Gods of Egypt and give my review on the game. I played it a couple times now with me and my girlfriend, and I'd really just like to overall kind of tell everyone my opinion on the game and kind of give like a general overview of the game. So first, with the overview, Ankh is a game where it's area control. You control certain parts of the map, and as you go, you can move figures. You actually have four actions that you do. The four actions are move figures, and then it's summon figures, and then it's gain followers. Followers are kind of like your gold, your currency, if you will, as you are a god when you play this game. So your followers, you kind of like use them as bidding tokens, if you will. And then your fourth action is unlock Ankh powers. There's a total of 12 Ankh powers, three tiers, so four in the first tier, four in the second tier, four in the third tier. You get two into each tier. As you go along that track, you could get guardians, which are more figures and more things you could use to put yourself ahead in each battle. When you go down that track, you can't go back. So what I mean by that is if you summon figures, you can't do move figures. The reason is you can't just like summon certain god powers let you summon more, certain guardians let you summon more. So you can't just summon figures and then move them across, and it just kind of makes it a little ridiculous. So they actually have it in like a tier system where if you did move, then you can do anything below it. But if you do summon, then you can't do move. If you do gain, you can't do summon or move. And if you do Ankh powers, you're pretty much just choosing to do that. You choose two actions each turn, so you can do summon and then gain followers. You can do summon, then unlock Ankh powers. You can't do gain followers and then move figures. If you kind of get what you're saying, it kind of goes down. Um, each person has one god which cannot die in any battles at all, and six warriors. The warriors can die, and then you can also gain guardians as you go. Now I say you can gain guardians because it's kind of like a first come first serve. There's a tier one, tier two, and tier three guardian based on where you are on your Ankh powers. You will get the guardian in that tier if there's enough there for you to get. It's kind of first come first serve. Now, when it comes to combat, as the game goes, you'll be able to at the end of each track of the move, summon, gain, and Ankh powers. At the end of each one of those is something that will make the game progress, and each progression has different things like taking temples, dividing more regions, or actual combat. So, combat, there's a total of 5 different combat rounds within the game. So, you can kind of set yourself up as you go. You kind of can really tell when that is going to happen, or roughly guess when that's going to happen. So, you can kind of set yourself on that as no, we're like, oh, well, we're battling now, and everyone's surprised by it, or some people are surprised by it. Everyone will really know when the next battle is. You can set yourself up because of that. Um, when it comes to the battles, everyone has the same hand size, so and the same cards in their hand. What's public knowledge is what has been played or is in the discard pile. Uh, so when you look at your regions, you can see that someone has 2 or 3 people in that region, and 2 in that region, and 1 in this region. And then you kind of see their discard pile. It's public knowledge. You grab it and look at it if you want, and kind of guess at what they're kind of going for. And you get a lot of mind games out of this. I like that a lot. I like the bluffing or the surprise, and like someone put 3 in this zone, but they kind of don't go heavy in their hand as far as what they put out there for that, but they go heavy into like the zone that they have 1, and it kind of surprises you, and you're kind of like overtaken on certain areas. And it's really fun in that aspect. Um, the game is based on a devotion track. The game ends when someone is at the end of the devotion track, they win, or when the game ends and no one's at the end of the devotion track, it comes down to who has the most devotion. Now, with this game, there is a player elimination, but I would say the player elimination is near the end of the game, where the game is pretty much already almost done anyway. I believe you have a battle, player elimination, and then there's one more battle after that, like right after that, and that's the game. It's done. So player elimination is not too much of a big deal. There is a merge mechanic, so basically it comes down to the last 2 people that are losing. The less losing of the 2 is the actual guy that stays into play. but the person that was losing the most teams up with that person. You could use both god powers, which actually is quite ridiculous, and it kind of allows for those last two people who kind of were struggling to possibly even take over and win the game. I wouldn't say that they will win the game, but I will say that they are definitely a contender because they're working together. Um, I haven't had this mechanic work yet. I haven't used it yet. I think I don't really know. I don't really like the idea of someone being out of the game and someone else really dictating. Like the bigger voice is what really plays at that, and I don't really know games that have that. That's why I kind of stay away from a lot of cooperative games, or I only would play cooperative games with certain people because with cooperative games it comes down to who has the bigger voice sometimes. And so I really like when a group is kind of together and is open to talk about things, and someone isn't ready to just like steamroll it all the way through, and they know exactly what everything, or they think they know exactly what everything needs to be done. I really like to just everyone enjoy themselves, and it not being like a spectator game. You know, one person's playing and everyone else is just moving the figures for them. So sometimes cooperative games don't work like that. But we'll see how the merge thing works. I do plan on playing this with a couple more. As far as like player counts, I've heard a lot of people say that 5 is convoluted. I would have to agree with just playing 2 people that 5 would be convoluted. I think 3 and 4 would actually be really, really fun. 2 was very, very fun. Me and my girlfriend, we had a lot of fun. I lost both times and I still had a lot of fun. I would think 3 would be really, really fun, and 4 would definitely be stressful and fun. The stress would be the fun part. I think it would be a very big thinker for 4, which I like that. I like that a lot. As far as game type, as I said, it's area control. It's a very, very good area control. I played a couple area controls games, and I would say Ankh is probably my number 1 right now as far as area control. I really like it. The components are beautiful. I mean, it's come on. Uh, you can't go wrong really, and for what they do with their figures, I know a lot of people knock their figures because they're very horizontal or vertical. They don't really have like dynamic poses, as people like to like point out on that, but I don't really care about that. I'm not really that big into figures like that where they need to be dynamically posing in a certain way. That just whatever. They're beautiful. They're detailed in this game. You can't go wrong. Each figure has so much more detail. When I grab that figure and I look at it a little bit, I just notice something small. Like I was like, oh my gosh, he's got a mummy as his wrist guard. He has a mummy as his shoulder pads. He has skulls as his, whatever. Oh, he's stepping on something. He's stepping on a skeleton in a box. Like, it's just, there's so much small details that when you grab it, it's just like, oh, wow, this is amazing. It's beautiful. As far as easy to play, this game is super easy to learn, super easy to get. I would say the hardest thing, it doesn't even mean it's hard, but the hardest thing is maybe getting it all set up. But even then, it's probably one of the better games I have with this many miniatures as far as setup. It's not that bad at all. It's quite actually easy to bring out. But as far as like ease of play, if we're going to talk about ease of play, the worst part of ease of play would be the setup, which is not bad. The game is easy. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's easy to learn and it's very hard to master. There's definitely a lot to like consider in the game, and there can be a lot going on. There wasn't a lot going on with a 2-player game, but I could see a lot going on as far as remembering powers and remembering, oh, you do this when this happens, when you probably get to 3 or 4. But even then, everyone has that represented on their board. Your board that you have, besides your god power, is the same as everyone else's board. So, like in your tiers of Ankh powers, everyone has the same Ankh powers. So when you look at your board and you look at someone else's board, you know what they have. You don't have to be like, hey, what is that on your board? Besides their god power, that's the only thing that's different. But everything else, as far as Ankh powers, you have it on your board. You could just look at theirs, look at yours. You know exactly what they're doing. That's awesome. I love that part of the game. But overall, you guys, as far as my review of this game, I would definitely say it's a good pickup. I believe retail on just the base game alone is $100. I would say there's a lot to play with $100 dollars for just the base game. Obviously, there's going to be expansions out there. Guardians can add a lot to the game. The gods can add a lot. I have the Kickstarter version, so I have everything. But we did just play with just the base game, Guardians. And I think we did do the Kickstarter gods. But even so, reading some of the base game gods, their powers are quite ridiculously out there. So each god ability breaks the game in some way or fashion. So it's balanced but unbalanced, if that makes any sense. Like everyone's good. And they break the game in their own way, and there's nothing that's just like, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Actually, I should say they're all, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. But because of that, it's balanced. Overall, you guys, the game is an amazing game. I would give it 4.5 out of 5. The only thing that I could see being better in this game is maybe the Guardians having more of them available. Although I do see like why there isn't that many available in a gameplay. But overall, just that alone is the only reason I bring it down to 4.5. I can maybe house rule some of that and make it a 5, easy. But overall, you guys, I would definitely recommend this game, and I'm hoping to have some gameplay videos in the future. If you guys would like to see gameplay videos of Ankh, please leave a like down below. That will let me know that, hey, this is what you guys would like to see, and leave a comment on what kind of game you would like me to review next. Whether it's a certain genre of game or a certain game in general, I'll play it if I haven't played it yet and kind of give you my thoughts on it. Until next time, guys, play more games.